Welcome to the RavensSpace on YouTube. My name is Jason, and this is RavensSpace Daily, where we talk about Baltimore Ravens news every single weekday. Thank you guys so much for joining me today. I want to say thank you to our Patreon subscribers. Also want to say please subscribe to the RavensSpace YouTube if you're not yet subscribed. We have 3 great news stories that we're going to hop right into, and we'll start with the first story of the day, which is about Zach Orr. If you guys don't know, Zach Orr announced that he's coming out of retirement. He's a free agent, and a report coming from Zach Orr's agent says that the Ravens are conflicted internally whether they should pursue Zach Orr. And there's two reasons, two things of thought here. First is, Zach Orr is hurt, and should you just move on from Zach Orr? Because right now it's getting like a circus, to be 100% honest right now. Do the Ravens want to just move on from him, or do they want to pursue him? Because he did play excellent last year. They want to pursue him and try to get another great middle linebacker. So again, other teams can pay him more. So if he wants to get the money, then he'll go to other teams. And there's also a report that about 20 teams are interested in doing their homework first. So a lot of teams want to use their doctor and use their resources to find out whether he's injured or not. I think that he won't pass a lot of those tests, of course, because, the Ravens knew about this, and the Ravens, they think they should move on. I think internally, I think Ozzie and John think this, like, he's a great player, but his injury risk, the circus in town, that would be a nice story. They might want to just move on from him as a player. If he teams up with CJ Mosley again, that would be a beautiful thing, but it would hurt the development of Correa, because he won't get as much time to start. But, I'm super excited to see what the Ravens do, because I would like Zach Orr. If I was them, I would take him on if you can get it from cheap. But like a commenter said on last episode, you don't know if you can get him for cheap now, especially since it seems like a lot of teams are interested in him, like the Detroit Lions. They're super interested in Zach Orr. So again, this is just another example of the Ravens finding somebody, he becomes a great player, and then another team will take him, but they'll pay a premium for his services. Again, the Ravens internally are conflicted. They don't know what they should do. I believe that the upper management is leaning to just go past this. But as you guys know, the players are leaning, let's get this guy back in here. He was a great teammate. He's a great guy. Let's play. Let's win some games with this guy. So, we'll see how it plays out. I think the Ravens will make a decision in the next week or two. And you'll know, and I'll know whether they're going to take this guy or they're going to move past this guy. And let me know what you think the Ravens should do in the comments below. I would love to know how you guys feel about this particular subject. And the next story is about Joe Flacco. There's a tweet made by Trey Wingo. You guys know Trey Wingo, ESPN guy. I respect him. He's smart. He does sports well. But he says this tweet: the Joe Flacco contract should serve as a cautionary tale. Ravens gutted team to pay him after Super Bowl 47 have missed playoffs 3 out of 4 years since. Now, so you guys know the story. Joe Flacco had his contract expire after he won a Super Bowl. He got a big payday, was the highest paid quarterback in the NFL. And the Ravens have had struggles since then. They lost players like Anquan Bolden, Torrey Smith, Daniel Ellerbe, players like that, Paul Kruger. And the Ravens just haven't been the same, he feels. And I have a lot of issues with this because, again, I understand that Joe may have been overpaid, but you have to look at the alternative, right? If you don't sign Joe Flacco, the Browns sign Joe Flacco, or some other bad team signs Joe Flacco, and then now the Ravens are a team without a quarterback. And that's just how it goes. You have to sign these players if you want to keep them. If the Ravens don't keep Joe Flacco, then who do the Ravens have? Who are the Ravens going to depend on? They're going to get a rookie quarterback. Again, I think Joe Flacco is more talented than Tyrod Taylor. Are they going to, play with Tyrod, and have to change how the offense is structured? Because Tyrod can't throw the ball as well as Joe Flacco, and the offense is not an offense that's fit with Tyrod's skills. What are you going to do, right? You have to get a quarterback to win in this league, and that is just it. The last quarterback that we saw that was bad and they won a Super Bowl was Peyton Manning, right? He had a bad year. But other than that, you have to look at the Super Bowl since then. You have Tom Brady and Matt Ryan, 2 great quarterbacks. Cam Newton, great quarterback. You have quarterbacks like Aaron Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, great quarterbacks. Patriots several times. Russell Wilson, great quarterback. All these great quarterbacks. Peyton Manning, the first time he went to Super Bowl as the Broncos, great quarterback, right? The best teams in this league have a quarterback And you can't win, especially in the Ravens division, without a quarterback. You have to score points in the Ravens division because of Ben Roethlisberger. I do feel bad that we did lose players, but Tyrod Taylor and Anquan Bolden can't win a Super Bowl. And that's just it. That is just the simple, plain truth of it all. Okay? You cannot win the reason we won a Super Bowl was because of Joe Flacco, right? Defense was average that season. The defense was average in the playoffs. Joe Flacco was great in the playoffs. He's the biggest reason we won the Super Bowl. And it's important that we see that, we know that, and it's a tough decision that Ozzie had to make. But if you don't make that decision, then I guarantee that the Ravens would just be a team that is in limbo because we don't have a quarterback, and you don't want to be the Browns in the NFL. But that's just how I feel. So I disagree with Trey Wingo. Let me know how you feel. Do you think the Ravens should have signed Joe Flacco? Because if they don't, then we don't have a quarterback, and then we're in a bad place. The next topic is about the starting center position, and who the Ravens should choose to be the starting center. So right now, it's really between two players, in my opinion, John Urschel and Ryan Jensen. And you guys know John Urschel's a smart guy. You've seen him a lot, especially if you are up on Ravens news. And the less known player, Ryan Jensen, is a big bruising type of center. And so you have to really pick, because if you want to be a good run team, you have to have a good center. And that's just how it is, because you have to have someone to contain defensive tackles. Now, in my opinion, I'll pick John Urschel for the simple fact that when he has been in the game, he's played well. We know he can play the game. We know that he is a player, though he's not as big as Jensen is. He's smart. He can, call the plays, call out protections. We've seen him play the game. Jensen is more of a wild card. We've seen him play too, but not as much as Urschel. In the past, when players go down, Urschel is the one that jumped in there. So, unless Urschel was injured and then Jensen jumped in. But I think the Ravens have more faith in Urschel. And I think he's going to perform well. I think he's going to take that starting spot. So, again, there's a lot of ups and downs. If you want a smart guy who has experience, you will take a Urschel. But if you want a bigger guy, especially after you see how Zutah had problems in the NFL last year, because he's a smaller center, if you want a bigger guy who's a stronger bruising type guy, then you take Jensen, because he is that. I think he is stronger than Urschel. And I think if you want that, he's your guy. And then, like we do at the end of every RavensSpace Daily episode, we answer a question from you guys in the RavensSpace mailbag. And this question comes from Ryan. And Ryan asks, which offseason addition will make the biggest impact for the Baltimore Ravens this season? Thank you so much for your question, Ryan. And the answer to me is clear. It's easy. And the answer is Jeremy Maclin. And I'll explain why I say Jeremy Maclin, because I don't think he's the most talented, right? I think Tony Jefferson is the most talented addition. However, Tony Jefferson is coming to a team that's going to be the fourth best defense already. Last year, they were fourth to fifth best defense. And we're on track to be the best defense until Jimmy Smith got hurt. And then you're putting him in, so the Ravens will take a jump up a couple steps. When you put Jeremy Maclin in, you have a chance to make the offense go from, a bottom half team, to a top half offense. And I'm not saying they're going to be 5 or 4, but they'll be 10, 11 if they do everything right. So I think that Maclin will upgrade the offense more than Jefferson will upgrade the defense, simply because the offense has a larger way to go, and Maclin will help them go further faster, in my opinion. Macklin's a great receiver. He can run routes, and he has a speed to help you out. He's smart. Again, he works hard, and now he's determined. To be honest, he has a chip on his shoulder, and he said he never lost the chip, and I believe he didn't. I just believe last year he was injured. But now he's going to come out. He's going to give everything he has. I think he likes Joe. Again, his skill set is good for Joe to run those deep routes. If you guys saw the highlight video we have on our site, on YouTube channel, a lot of those plays were deep, big plays. He's a big playmaker, and I'm super excited with him and Joe, and we'll see what we can get, especially with him in that slot position. Thank you so much for your question, Ryan. And that is the end of today's episode. Please subscribe to the RavensSpace YouTube if you're not subscribed. Check out our Patreon page. Also, check us on our different social media like Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. Thank you so much, and go Ravens.